Agora sim. Ok. Ok.
Hands are shaking.
Yeah. Pessoal, estamos hoje aqui de novo, né, na segunda entrevista dessa nova versão do programa, essa nova temporada. E hoje eu estou com nada mais, nada menos que BONNET, a voz do Rainbow, um dos idealizadores do Alcatrazz. Hello!
Hello, it's good to be here.
Yeah, it's always good to be here. So, we're going to start a little bit about your whole career until nowadays, right?
Oh, if you like.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Good. The first question, Graham, that I've heard from many fans that they don't know, they want more details.
Yeah.
It's about how you were invited to be part of the Rainbow. How did it happen?
No, how did it happen? Well, the Rainbow guys were all together in a chateau in France, and they were playing a game called Spot the Tune and Who is This Singer? Cozy Powell had a tape, when tapes were...
Yeah, I remember.
Cassette machines, remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
Oh, yes. So, they were playing a game of Who is This? Who sang this? And they happened to play my song, which is from 1968 with the band I was like the Marbles. There's only one woman, a song called Only One Woman. And they said, oh, what happened to this guy? And shall we get in touch with him? It just happened that Roger Glover was working with a friend of mine, Mickey Moody, in England. And Mickey got together with Roger and said, yeah, here's Graham's number. So I went over there to audition, basically. I knew nothing about Rainbow at all. So I had to go out and buy a couple of albums and learn a track, which was Mistreated, a song called Mistreated. And that was my audition.
From Deep Purple?
Yeah. And so I went over there and sang at them. And did the thing. And they said, well, the job is yours. And I wasn't sure about it because I didn't look right.
And how was to face the first time the guy? Mr. Blackmore.
Well, I was not in fear.
Yeah?
No, because I didn't know anything. My musical career was nothing to do with hard rock, heavy metal, whatever you want to call it. What I was doing was like R&B and more, pop music. So I didn't really know much about, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, any of those kind of bands.
Oh, sure.
And that's why I thought this job was wrong for me. I didn't know why the hell they chose me, because I'm this short-haired guy, wears a suit, and completely wrong for the thing. So when I met all the guys, I knew of Roger a little bit because of my friend Mickey Moody as a producer. I knew Roger Glover was a great producer, and so I kind of knew him-ish. But the other guys, I didn't know. I didn't know Cozy or Richie or anything. So I wasn't in fear, but I just thought I was wrong for the band because I thought the music wasn't me.
Yeah, but you did an amazing album together, didn't you?
Eventually.
Yeah.
Well, it was all right.
Yes.
It didn't do too badly. But after the audition was over, I went back home and said, no, I can't do this. These guys, I can't sing this stuff. But my manager, gone, decided he would make a lot of money out of it if I would be part of the band. So he made money, I didn't. So anyway, eventually I joined.
And how was this change? I mean, you were not so famous, then suddenly, boom, the lead singer of Rainbow.
Yeah.
What changed at the time?
Everything. People were getting in touch with me much more and asking me to do things, and more. People didn't know I could sing this way, yada yada yada. It was a completely different change, a new world, and it had, for me, it was, I didn't know how they wrote songs, for instance. Was one thing that confused me. Because they wrote songs, the arrangement was put down first, and then you put in the vocals here, here, and here. I was used to writing songs with my acoustic guitar and then making it the structure from that. So this was a new...
way to write songs.
Yeah, so it gave me a lot of experience, and it was an eye-opener, and the semi-classical arrangements and things like that was very cool, which I got to really enjoy later, even though I thought I was wrong for the band. But that was something that I could really understand. They were great musicians, and I just went, wow, these guys are just damn good,
After Rainbow, Michael Schenker Group, another guitar hero.
Yeah.
How was it? How did it happen, this transition?
Oh, that was, again, Cozy Powell just happened to be in the band.
He's the guy.
Yeah, it's always him. It's all his fault. That's his heart. And I went to see them play at a club in LA. I can't remember, it was the Country Club or something? No, not the Country Club. Anyway, it was a place in LA. And Cozy came back to me after the show was over. I was on the balcony, looking down at the other bands playing. And he said, what do you think of the band? MSG. And I said, oh, great. I said, great move there, Cozy, good for you. He said, well, how would you like to be in this band? I said, what do you mean, you've got to sing it? He said, yeah, but he's going. I said, where's he going? We don't want him anymore. And so that was my intro to Michael Schenker. And so the next thing I knew, I went home and then I got some tapes from Michael to write 3 tunes urgently. I got it in the mail. Urgent, please write words and melodies. You know. And I was in the band like overnight.
How was at that time the problems with alcohol? Did it really,
really bad.
Really bad? In which level?
Oh, from morning till night. You know, I would get up in the morning and I would say to Michael, do you want some champagne? We'd make you know, those champagne orange juice drinks in the morning and then drink all through the day, all through the night until somebody fell over. It was a competition who would fall over first.
Okay.
And it was usually me. And so it was very, very bad. And it didn't work, you know. In the end, it was the end of my career with Michael Schenker too, because it came to a drunk, the first gig we did live, I was so out of it, I didn't know what I was doing, and it was, they fired me.
Okay, 1983, alcatrazz, with another guitar hero, malmsteen. You and Dougie White, amazing, I love these guys.
Yeah, well, it was
2 albums, what happened, tell a little bit.
One album with Ingve. He was a kid that was in a band in LA, and we'd heard about him from a guy who worked in the store. Said, you want somebody who plays like Richie Blackmore? That's what I was looking for at the time. And he said, well, I know this guy. And so Ingve came to the rehearsal, and he was perfect. We had about, I don't know, we had Paul McCartney's guitar player audition for us from Wings, Lawrence Juber, and a whole bunch of other players, but he just seemed to fit. As soon as Ingve walked in, he looked right, and he sounded right, and he played just what he wanted. So he was in, you know. So then we made the first album.
Among these 3 guys that we have talked about, any of them, is there any of them that's more difficult to handle with, or malmsteen in the beginning was easy?
Yeah.
How did it work?
Well, Ingve was fine at first, but he became, his ego kind of took over later because everybody was saying how.
But in the beginning it was okay.
Oh yeah. But you know, after a few live shows, I'd go, oh well, this kid playing all this. People were fascinated by it because back then, not many people did all this. You know, it was a new thing.
Yeah.
And so he became kind of like the star of the band. And so eventually, I knew he would go on his own, and he did. And then Steve Vai came into the band.
Yes. This would be my next question, but anyway.
Oh, go on, ask me.
Another guitar hero.
Yes. Well, he was. He just he became a guitar hero. I think that's Alcatrazz. We help your career.
Yeah.
So he came in.
And he's the same.
Yeah. I mean, we were a good stepping stone.
Yeah.
So Steve came in. He was a completely different player, and he just come from the Frank Zappa band. So he was very, very musically intelligent. You know. So I enjoyed very much writing with him. He was incredible to write songs with. I enjoyed
easier than the other guys?
Yeah, because Steve was on the same level as I was. He thought in the same way about songs as I did. So it was kind of cool that we could write a song like in one day as opposed to 2 weeks for one or something. So because he knew where the voice should come, not where I put my guitar parts. He was very, you know, complimentary where the guitar should go to the vocal parts.
I know what I mean.
So he was great, and that album, the second album we made, is my favorite.
Do you still have any contact with any of these guys?
Steve, I saw Ingve about 7 years ago at the Malm show. Steve, I emailed about 2 years ago. He'd sent me a track, which I never did anything to. He said, I'd like to do a track, you know, can you do some vocals on this? And I just never did it. And Danny Johnson, who was on the 3rd album, I got in touch with him earlier this year, because he went into a career with Steppenwolf, you know. He was with them for, what, 11, 12 years or something. So he went on to something better after Alcatrazz eventually collapsed, you know. But not really any real contact. No.
Okay. The next step was in military. Yeah, just one album. How did it happen?
Yeah, again, that was, I left the country. I left California to go to Australia with my ex-wife and my kids, who were like 2 years old at the time, I think. I have twins, and I got a call from him, from Chris. Can you do an album? Can you write an album with me? I didn't know who he was or anything. So I stayed back in California, wrote the album with Chris, which I thought was pretty good. But eventually I thought I can't handle this any longer. I've been away from my family too long. So I went back to Australia for a while. But the album with Christian Pelletier, I think, was very cool. I like it.
In the 70s, many of the guitar players, they wanted to record with Paul Rodgers from Free because they liked it so much, his voice. And in the 80s, was you. What do you think? Do you think that most of these guys, they became part of your life because of you as a person, or really because of your voice? How do you analyze this?
Well, I think it was because of my career, you know, well, not failures, but my career triumphs. They kind of played off that, oh, he's done this, he's done that. We'll get him to sing on our album or write some songs.
But of course, the voice is amazing too.
Well, my voice, my songwriting, whatever, you know, whatever it may be. You know, they knew I was a songwriter, and I've written 3 albums, so, you know, I was kind of a shoo-in. I was a good person to have around musically, as well as being fabulous looking.
Concerned about your looking.
Yeah.
As you said in the beginning, you were completely different from this standard that the guys with the long hair.
Yeah.
You always had the short hair, the dark glasses.
Yeah.
Why?
Because that's my era. I liked when I was a kid. I liked, you know, bebop music, you know, rock and roll, early rock and roll, Buddy Holly, and all that sort of stuff. And that was my deal. You know, I liked all the early stuff, Fats Domino, Little Richard, all those guys. You know.
But to be different, you or no?
Pardon?
To be different from the
later, yeah. I mean, the first solo album I made was a mixture of music. It was R&B, pop music, reggae, a bit of everything. So I wasn't in one separate drawer. You know, like you're either a heavy rock singer or you're a pop singer. So suddenly I'm in the heavy rock category, and I couldn't understand why. You know, like, who me? You know, but having done all that other music, it was a good way to learn about jazz and everything else. So I like jazz also. You know, I like jazz playing, my guitar. So a lot of influences came from the early music that I incorporated in the later songwriting for heavy music.
Okay.
You know.
We're almost in the end, but I want, before we start ending, I want to make, for example, to analyze your career nowadays. Since the beginning, how the evolution, would like you to analyze, how do you feel nowadays? How do you see the past? How do you see the present? How do you see the future?
Yeah. Well, I think the past was probably the best. The best thing I ever did was join Rainbow, I think. And Castle Donington, when we played that concert, the first Monsters of Rock show, I'll never forget that, ever. That was probably the highlight, and always will be the highlight of everything I've done, I think. It was just so incredible. And the other things that followed on, I was so pleased that Alcatrazz actually had something happen to it, because I thought it would just, we'd make an album, no one would ever hear it. And we found out it was like gone gold in Japan. I went to Japan, got a gold record, etc. So everything went well up to there. Now it's a matter of you have to go out there and play now. There's no like make an album and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, rely on the album making money. Now we have to go out and play live, as everybody does.
Yeah.
So it has changed a big lot, you know, a hell of a lot. So the more we play, the more happier I am, and we all are. But no one is in one band anymore. I play with different musicians in different countries, same with the other guys. They play in different bands, they have a top 40 band. So it's not like the Beatles days where you were a group and you became writers together. Now it's all, we email our parts, you know, everything is done on Pro Tools, we never see each other sometimes.
Yeah, it's possible to compose like this nowadays.
Yeah, that's the way it is, you know, so it's changing big time. So
really hard to accept?
Yeah, it is. Yes, it's sad. It's very sad because you can't put all your energy into one thing anymore.
The feeling, you don't see the eyes of the other person.
Yeah. So it's all broken up because we have to make a living. This is just like another job.
Yeah.
I happen to be a singer who writes songs. My bass player is a singer who writes songs. The guitar player is a singer who writes songs. You know. So we all go in our different directions sometimes. It's not really a band anymore. It is, but it isn't. You know. It's like.
Okay, we're going to do a kind of ping pong. I will give you some words and you will give me the answer. Like, I ask you, Bonnet, what's the first thing you remember when I tell you Graham Bonnet?
An 11-year-old learning to play guitar.
Richie Blackmore.
Probably the biggest influence on my career.
Malmsteen.
A great guy.
Life.
Oh God. I probably got 30 years left.
God.
I don't believe in him.
Best?
Best? Being alive and making more music.
Present.
Having my children and having love in my life.
Future.
Having my children and carrying on with my career and having love in my life.
Food.
Vegetarian. Vegetarian forever.
Don't invite him to a barbecue restaurant.
No barbecues for me.
Alcohol.
I am now sober for almost 8 years.
Almost?
8 years.
8 years. USA.
I love it. I love California. I've lived there since 1979.
Europe.
Sometimes a bit depressing.
Japan.
Always fun.
Brazil.
Great.
Okay, I want to ask you to send a message to our friends.
Yes, what should I say?
Well, what do you want?
Well, come and see us play. When is it? Tomorrow?
It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
6 o'clock.
yes. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock. We'll be there. We're going to play a lot of different stuff. Alcatrazz, some of my solo stuff, and some also maybe Rainbow. So a bit of everything for everybody. So be there, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Brian.
All right, man. Thank you. Yeah, oh, that made sense.
Ok. Pessoal, amanhã então todo mundo lá no Carioca, a partir das 6 horas da tarde, amanhã, dia 1º de setembro, às 16 horas do Carioca Clube aqui em São Paulo. O pessoal que quiser ajudar, cooperar para poder colocar a legenda no vídeo, por favor, entre em contato com a gente. O e-mail está bem no início da entrevista, na apresentação. Pessoal, mais uma vez, obrigado. Obrigado, pessoal da Brigade. Obrigado ao Milton, pessoal da produção. Thank you very much. Brian Bonnet, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Valeu.